Welcome to Rico 12. I'm Justin B., your host and a child of an all-powerful and perfectly loving God and an addict living in the miracle of recovery one day at a time. Rico 12 is an open to all addictions and all afflictions organization dedicated to exploring the common threads of the differing manifestations of alcoholism, sharing tools and offering hope from those walking a similar path. We gather from diverse backgrounds, faiths, and locations to learn and support one another. Our speakers come from various fellowships and experiences, demonstrating the universal principles of recovery. Rico 12 is not allied or affiliated with any specific 12-step fellowship. This is Rico 12 speaker meeting number 341. It just blows my mind every time we are marching down this path, how long we've been doing this, and the amazing things it's been doing for me. Hopefully it's helpful for you also. Thank you for joining us live or in the recording later. Today's speaker is Jesse S. He is a first-time guest speaker on Rico 12, and I'm super grateful to hear from him today. He will be speaking today on a topic entitled Meaningful Service is the Key to Recovery, and I look forward to hearing his message here shortly. But first, for just a few quick announcements and business items. Rico 12 offers a variety of recovery resources, including podcasts and social media communities. To learn more and explore more, please visit reco12.com. That's RECO12.com, or check the chat and show notes for links. And we are self-supporting, and your contributions really help us continue this message. Thank you to all our spearhead donors, past and present. This week, I'm just grateful for the donations that came in, and I did not take a minute to go look and see who they were from, so I can't identify them specifically this week. I apologize, but your support truly makes a difference. If you'd like to contribute, please visit reco12.com/support. I will put links in the chat and in the show notes for one-time or monthly donation options. Every bit of support, financial or through word of mouth, helps us share these messages of recovery. Each week, we receive light and inspiration from our speakers. Their experience brings hope, meaning, worth, and growth to us as listeners. Now let's welcome today's guest speaker, Jesse S., and learn just a little bit more about him. Jesse is a single parent, an artist, and social worker, and has over 3 years of recovery through the miracle of the 12 steps. Always trying to find new ways to engage and reaffirm his commitment to the 12 steps, he has found service as the key to staying sober. Sharing reflections, experience, strength, and hope around the theme of meaningful service. Take it away, Jesse. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Justin. Can you hear me okay? So sorry about the echo, everybody. I'm just in a studio right now, but hopefully it's still clear. But my name's Jesse. It's really great. I'm really grateful to be here. I think it's such a great idea, this Rico 12, like a 12-step group just for everybody, because ultimately we all have different manifestations of addictive compulsive behavior, but it really, like, we all come down to like the same elements. A disconnection from a higher power, thinking we are the higher power or not believing in a higher power, and our own selfishness, right? Which is a really hard word to hear, especially when you're beginning the program, that I'm a very selfish, self-will, self-conscious person. I remember when my first sponsor said to me, like, yeah, well, our problem is selfishness. I had a really hard time with that because I had a real martyr syndrome. I took care of all my family. I was codependent with all my family and all their addictions. I have these 2 kids with behavior issues and mental health issues that I adopted. So I'm like constantly a single parent running around. I have 4 jobs. I help everybody. So to be told, like, yeah, you're very selfish was a really tough pill for me to swallow. I'm not selfish. I'm the least selfish person on earth. I don't need anything from anybody. And somebody really early on taught me, like, how we look at selfishness in the program is naming it so that we can see how it's ruining our lives and how it can come in many different manifestations, right? And I think about that Greek poem, the Greek story of Narcissus, right? Like narcissism. It sounds like we say the word narcissist like it's a bad thing throwing eggs at people, but really that story is he was so obsessed with his own reflection in the water that he drowned, right? And actually it's a sad story. It's not a story of like he's a jerk, he's a pain in the butt, he's this and that. No, he was so self-focused and self-obsessed that he didn't realize he was going deeper and deeper in the water and he drowned. That's narcissist. And that to me was my whole life. I was so in my own head. I was so self-focused, self-pitying, self-conscious. I didn't even realize I was just drowning myself. And that's why I needed my addictions, because it was the only time I could get out of my own head. It was like I had to do something as severe as all my overthinking to compensate for my overthinking and self-obsessing. So actually, if you look at it, it wasn't that I was a bad person or an evil person or a jerk, as I would call myself often. It was that it was sad. I was stuck in myself. And I think a lot of addicts can really identify with that. We're just so stuck in ourselves. And it's why I wanted to talk about step 12, about meaningful service, because it's so important to me. I think it's the reason why, everything's circular. Step 12 helps us circle back to the other steps and reinforce what we gain. But ultimately, like, the reason why the final step is like doing service is because that's how we get out of our selfishness. That's how we turn this thing from it being therapy or from it being a group talk into something that's a program that's going to last 100 years, like the 12 steps have, and is going to be powerful and lead to recovery. It's by working through our own stuff, clearing our own past, and then stepping into service in ways that is meaningful to get out of ourselves. And it's counterintuitive. You think we're so used as addicts to be codependently taking care of people, to be taking care of people with resentment and conditions, to be drained by people. We don't relate to people well when we're in our addictions. Everything is like either taking too much or giving too much. But this program teaches us how to be interdependent, how to not be so independent, I don't need anybody, how to not be so codependent, I need everybody, and get all messed up by it. When we're interdependent, we give as much as we take. And so as much as this program gives us recovery, it can easily take it away if we're not giving it back, right? And so I'm just going to talk a bit about meaningful service. I chose the word meaningful on purpose because the other thing that has happened to me in my 3 years, and I've seen other people talk about, is when we start kind of calling our service in, when we start halfway, half measures, when we start getting too complacent and doing the bare minimum in our program and not actually doing meaningful service, we don't get the same reward. There's nothing like connecting to a newcomer and realizing how far you've come by talking to them when they haven't started yet. There's nothing like sponsoring somebody and seeing them go through the process that you went through. There's nothing like coming to a meeting and sharing and hearing what falls out of your mouth and being like, oh my God, I actually do have some insights on this thing, The service that we give, it's not just for the others that we give it to. It keeps our program strong, and it's a way to check in every time we give service. It shows us where we're at in our recovery. Did that feel authentic, or am I like actually kind of like missing parts of my program? Or like, did I learn something along the way that I haven't really like crystallized yet? And when I'm working with somebody or talking with somebody, things will fall out. And I'm like, oh yeah, I've learned a lot along the way. I'm not where that person was. Or maybe sometimes you're giving service and you are exactly where that person is. And it's a way to be like, wow, I'm just like a newcomer right now. I need to start from scratch and really re-engage with my program. But service is the key, and it's the 12th step for a reason. If you know the history of AA in the big book, in the like old and original days, they would like take you on your first day and get you on your knees if you were willing, and get you saying those first prayers and doing the first 3 steps on your first day if you were willing to do it. And then they would get you matched with a sponsor almost immediately. They would try to have you work through step 4 and 5 and 6 as quickly as you could. And then they try to get you to service step 12 as soon as possible. And it always makes me kind of not sad, I guess, but I always know, like, I've worked with a lot of sponsees in the last 3 years who have come and gone, and that's okay. Sometimes it doesn't work the first time. Sometimes people are in the wrong place. Sometimes people get a bit of insight and realize I'm not chronic. I don't need this. Or sometimes people leave and come back many years later, whatever reason. So I don't take it personally, but I've seen a lot of people who get like so close to step 12 and it's on service. When they have to start giving service, that's where they drop out, or that's where they start getting confused, or that's when those old excuses start coming in and they leave the program. And am I choppy at all? You can hear me okay still? Okay, good. And it makes me so sad in a way, because it's like I didn't really know recovery until I started giving service and talking in meetings and working with newcomers and sponsoring. And I thought I did, because when you do your inventory and when you clear your past and when you talk about all your problems with a sponsor, it feels really good. It's very therapeutic. And you're thinking, I've got it all figured out. I've got everything's wiped away. I can start fresh. But, this is a daily practice. This is a new way of living. It's not a diet. It's not a weekend retreat. It's not something that you can like dive into and then leave for a month and get the same results, which we've tried before as addicts. We've tried every book you could read, every YouTube video, every insight, every retreat, every detox. You know, we've tried these like quick solutions and I'm cured. The reason why we're here is that if you're chronic, that's not going to cure you. You can have recovery if you work a program of recovery. But as soon as we stop working that program, we're right back where we started in no time at all because we're chronic, and that's okay. But it's important to remember, like when we're here in these meetings, our addiction is out there doing push-ups in the parking lot, and it runs the same brain we do. And it's very good at convincing ourselves, oh, I've learned enough, I can move on. Or, oh, I've done enough service, I don't need to do it today. Or, oh, you know, if you're not doing a meaningful program and you're not getting meaningful results, and we know that on some level, deeply, we can feel that we're not working meaningfully and we're not getting those results. Sorry, I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but I wanted to start by saying, I'm going to talk about like a few different types of service stuff but first I just want to start by saying when I first came into the program, somebody told me like, well, your service right now is to read the big book and study it and to go to a meeting every day for 90 days. And I said, 90 days? I said, I'm a single parent. I have 4 jobs. I'm like, how am I going to ever have time? But I was so thank God, you know, God is the gift of desperation. I was so desperate. I was in such a place. I had hit such a rock bottom that I was like, screw it. I'm going to do exactly what I'm told. I'm just going to do it. And I'm a very rebellious person. I'm not someone who's like, I'm going to do exactly what I'm told. But I was like, I'm going to go to a meeting every day. Even if it's like the end of a meeting, even if it's like a recording of a meeting, I'm going to try to find time every day to go to a meeting. And I went for 90 days, which sounds totally insane. But I mean, it was insane. And I always say like, when I first started going to those meetings, everybody sounded completely insane to me. Yeah, as if these people have this recovery, as if this book's going to work. And you know, they say like insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, right? I've tried my own way for 35 years and it's the same results and it's insane. I know for a fact that my way is crazy and it doesn't work. So I have my way that I know doesn't work, and I have this seemingly insane program that might work, but I don't know. So I took a leap and I was like, I'm going to go every day for 90 days. And in that time, I really learned so much. I saw people share so much. I saw people like have such different experiences and different backgrounds. I really just heard the same message over and over again. Some days I went and I was bored out of my mind. Oh my God, are we talking about the same thing again? Sometimes I went and I was like, this person's so full of crap, I hate them. Sometimes I went and I said like, I don't even need to hear this again. But other times I was able to like center myself and realize this is my service right now. This is your service right now. If no one was in this room, there would be no meeting. And later when we're sharing and asking questions, if no one shared, there'd be no meeting. So even if you're not ready to sponsor or take over a meeting as an administrator or moderate and share or whatever, if you're not ready for that, that's okay. Your service right now is to study the big book because you're going to need to know it when you help somebody else and because it helps you, and to show up to the meetings and fill the room. And one of my first meetings, somebody said the newcomer is the most important person in the room. And I was just feeling like such crap at that point in my life. I felt so useless. I felt like such a drain. I thought, I'm not the most important in the room. What am I doing? But truthfully, I look back now, it's like when I talk to newcomers, it really helps me. It helps me so much because I can recognize like my journey in that. And it reminds me of how screwed up I was. My brain is really good at convincing me that it wasn't so bad before. And that's how it gets you to go back to how it was before. You start getting recovery, you start feeling good in your life. Your brain starts telling you like, you're fine, you're good. And when you talk to a newcomer who's in that first day, who still hasn't gotten it, who's just like still in the middle of all that crap that you were in, it's just this, it underlines so deeply like, oh my God, I forgot how seriously lost I was. I forgot how seriously like distressed I was. I can't for a minute forget how many years I spent like drowning in myself, right? So I really want to just thank you for coming to this meeting. And I want to say like, it's really important and to not diminish the fact that even though we don't all have the ability to get up and talk for 20 minutes, or we don't have the ability to share today, or we don't have the vibe of I'm going to sponsor somebody yet, wherever you're at, I do recommend like going through the steps as quickly as you can go through them and not getting stuck in the early stuff, because getting to step 12 is where like the real magic happens. but also, wherever you're at, you're here, and that's a service, and you should be like giving yourself credit for that. And we're all grateful for that. Your newcomers or returning members are the most important people in the room. And so something that kind of happens when we do service is that before, when I would have like a selfish moment of anger, resentment, fear, there'd be no outlet for it. I would spin out on it. I'd overthink it. I couldn't let it go. I'd obsess about it. I always say, like, if I had a problem at 5 o'clock in the PM, I had to have it solved by 6 p.m. That was like the person I was. Like, I could not just let something go, let something wait till tomorrow. Maybe don't respond to that. It was just not my compulsive personality. And so part of why we say we found recovery in this program is now we have a system when those selfish defects or defaults come in, right? When I start feeling angry now, I don't just get lost in it and spin in it and lash out or punish myself with compulsive addictive behavior. I can do a 10th step. I can talk to my sponsor. I can go to a meeting. I can say a prayer. I can meditate, and I can do some meaningful service. Even if it's 5 minutes of service, it's reframing that defect. Whereas before it had nowhere to go but spin out, now it has a purpose. And I can ultimately be like, oh, that's why God, or whoever you believe in, higher power, why did higher power push my buttons today? It's because if higher power didn't make me mad at my kids today, I wouldn't have met that newcomer that I reached out to. If higher power didn't make me resentful today, I wouldn't have joined that meeting and found a new community. If higher power didn't make me have fear today, I wouldn't have stopped and shared in a meeting today. I wouldn't be doing this today and meeting all of you if it wasn't for the fact that I have defective default behaviors that I need to do service in order to reframe them. So the first thing it kind of does is it's kind of counterintuitive, right? It's like, not only do you feel really good when you do service because you feel useful, and the more useful you feel, the more that accumulates to having a useful, productive life. So that's obviously helping people and supporting people feels good. But also it gives you it's like, it reframes why I have these problems. I would not, if somebody was like, would you go back in time and like erase all of your addictive behaviors and start again and not hurt people and not do the things you did and not harm yourself? I'd probably say yes, because it was torture. But ultimately, if I really could press a button and erase my addictive behavior, because of this program, I don't think I could do it. Because I would think about all the people I've helped in the last 3 years. I've think about the insight, the connection to higher power that I've gotten through the cracks is where the light comes in, right? Like, I don't think I would be able to say, okay, press this button and it all goes away. I'm kind of grateful. Not every day. There's a lot of days where I'm not grateful and I'm like, why did God or whatever make me an addict? But I am grateful that I found this 12-step program, and I'm grateful for my addictive behavior because it led me to be able to be very useful and help. And this is a program where it's crazy people helping crazy people, sick people helping sick people. It wouldn't work any other way. I couldn't be somebody's therapist in this program. I couldn't be somebody's doctor, but I can talk to them and we can identify and empathize with each other because we've both been through it. If I hadn't been through it, I wouldn't be able to help them. And when you're talking to a newcomer or somebody returning or somebody struggling, that's the only reason why we're able to do it so openly and so well, is because we've been there. So if somebody was like, well, do you want to erase all that? I don't know if I could, because I would think of all the people I've met. It would be like a lost opportunity to be a lot deeper connected, right? And when we do meaningful service, it's more than just texting our sponsor once in a while. It's more than just like setting up a few chairs at a meeting. We need more and more service. And sometimes we need to really take an honest look at ourselves, because maybe the stuff we've been doing is not enough right now, or maybe it's not enough anymore. Maybe we've gotten to a point in our program where we're being really pushed to do more and give back more, to start a meeting or lead a meeting, or to like reach out to more newcomers, or to do a little more for the program, right? It's important to really look at that, because often our brain will convince us, oh, the problem is I'm losing my job. Oh, the problem is I'm losing my partner. Oh, the problem is my mom's sick and dying. Oh, the problem is the reason I'm not feeling connected to higher power is because of all these external things. But often it's very counterintuitive. It's like, actually, you're being pushed to give more. And higher power knows when it doesn't give you more than you can handle. I really believe that. Even though there's times in my life where I'm like, this was way more than I could handle. I can see how sometimes there's a block in my serenity. There's a block in my connection. And it takes me a long time because I'm a stubborn jerk. But sometimes it's like not until I realize, oh, I need to get another sponsee. I need to reach out to people. I need to do something deeper. I need to go do a share. I need to go run a foundations meeting. I need to do something deeper and more meaningful. And as soon as I do, it's kind of amazing. Thanks for the timer. It's kind of amazing how the results are almost instant. You're like, that was the block. The block was that. It's not something for me to go figure out with my selfishness in my selfish world. It's that I need to give back to the program that's giving me recovery, or I'm not going to have that recovery. And so if you've been here long enough, it's like really important that we're reaching out to newcomers and sharing in the meetings, because that's how they get to know that you're an available sponsor, and that's how they get to know you. It's really important that when your meetings have like group conscience, I can never say this, consciousness, group conscience meetings, administrative meetings, when they need administrative support. It's like I run 2 different meetings on WhatsApp for my other program. And it's really difficult because sometimes there's like weeks at a time where nobody's signing up. And even though sometimes 20 people show up to the meeting, I still have to go every week and be like, is anyone going to moderate today? Who's going to read the prayer? It's like, it's so important that when we have it's so important to remember, if you're not there, that's okay. No one's judging. You don't have to do extra if you just don't have the energy, if you don't have the recovery, if you're just here to listen, that's service. But if you're starting to feel like I've been here longer and I'm not getting the same serenity I had in the beginning, it's because you're being pushed to give more. I can almost guarantee it. And it's time to start looking at like taking more responsibilities. And sometimes that can be really daunting for people who have social anxiety or people who feel like I'm already overwhelmed in my life. But like higher power has a way of like figuring it out. It's not going to be maybe the best share on earth. Maybe you're going to get sloppy or say the word like too much. Maybe your internet's going to die, or your kid's going to come in, or your cat's going to jump in your lap. Maybe you're going to say something you're embarrassed about or not be as articulate. It doesn't matter. You're going to do it and feel better because you gave something back. Or maybe you're worried you're not going to have enough time to make that kind of commitment. Like time and higher power, they have a funny relationship. And it's amazing when we sign up for something in the program, how like the scheduling gods kind of figure it out for you. And so I just want to say, like, if you have these excuses in your head, if you have these reasons why you can't give more, but you're also finding you're not getting as much, you might want to really think about like taking a leap, doing a little more, giving a bit back, joining one of the boards, going to some of the conferences. The program needs people. We don't need people who are perfect and organized. And even though you see the people running these programs, you think like, oh, he does so much, she does so much. Sometimes they're just like you. They've just decided to do it, and they're like dealing with the emails and figuring it out as they go. That's okay, right? So I just want to say, like, there's some pillars to meaningful service, right? There's obviously attending meetings, sharing when you can, hearing from the newcomers, even when you feel like I have nothing to share. Sometimes somebody's saying out loud, I have nothing to share. I feel like a piece of crap today. I hate this program. I hate everybody, but I'm here anyways. Sometimes those are the best shares, because guaranteed there's 5 other people in the room who feel exactly the same way. You just have to share where you're at when you can. Also looking for like administrative things behind the scenes. There's always that. The other thing is wind up work. And if you don't know what wind up work is, it's like sharing the program with places where addicts wind up. So sometimes it's going to like counselors and therapists in your area, going to church groups or community centers, going to shelters, going to detox places and rehab facilities. And this is something that's really important. If you have sponsees, you're pretty busy. You have to talk to them every day. You have to do a lot of work, especially in the first, like when they're starting the steps, you have to do like long meetings with these sponsees. You have to go through their 4th step inventory. You have to check in every day. So if you have like 2 or 3 sponsees, you're pretty busy every day, and it's pretty meaningful work. But while you're in between that, or if you don't have sponsees, wind up work is a really great, meaningful way to get the message out there. And so what you do is you write a little email, or you make a little poster, get a poster from your group. And in the email, I'll just say like, hi, my name's Jesse. I've recovered from A, B, and C through a 12-step program. I think the work you're doing is really great. I know there's a lot of people who need multiple types of supports. And I just want you to know that I'm available if you want to talk about the 12-step program, how it worked for me, or if you have any people who might be looking for that as an additional support. And I'll send that email out. And these are the great things. When you do a 10th step, if you haven't done 10 steps before, if you're new, 10 steps are when we stop in the moment, we name the problem, we say a prayer, and we do some service. Just 5 minutes of service. So if I'm not feeling centered, if I'm feeling angry, resentful, fearful, self-conscious, whatever, I stop, I text my sponsor. I say, feeling selfish and self-centered. I say a little prayer. God, please help me return to center. God, help me let go of this fear. God, help me, whatever, return to the higher power. Thy will, not mine, be done, or higher power, whatever you call it. And then I have to do 5 minutes of service. It's reframing it. It's rebuilding your mind to be like, when these things happen, I stop everything and I do 5 minutes of service. You don't have to do a whole hour. You don't have to go to a whole meeting. Sometimes if the problem doesn't go away, you might need to do a little more, but sometimes that quick 5 minutes reframing is all you need. I worked for a long time with people with acquired brain injuries. So they had like a car accident or a brain injury, and they had to relearn how to brush their teeth. They had to relearn how to make their bed. They had to relearn how to read and write. And they also had to learn how to stop doing certain compulsive behaviors that came with the brain injury. And what I learned in that work is the brain, you can't negate something. You can't just say, don't do that, stop. It doesn't work. Telling yourself no, negating it is not going to work. And we all know that as addicts. Okay, starting Monday, I'm not going to do it anymore. Okay, starting in the new year, I'm going to stop. Don't do that. Don't think that. Don't do it. It's bad. Nobody learns and grows through negating an experience. You have to add something positive to it. And I mean positive, like productive. You have to add something. So if somebody is like having a negative thought, they can't just say, don't think negatively. They have to do their 10th step and do a little service. And then it trains your brain to like turn it into something productive, turn it into something positive. Change it before it starts getting an hour, a day, a week, a month, a year, before you get stuck in that loop again. It reframes us, right? Doing this step 10s, doing these moments of stopping, pausing, meditating, praying, and doing service is the key. Because if we're just stopping and praying, if we're just meditating, higher power or whatever you believe in, they're going to be like, that's great for you, but like, this is not about you. It's about getting out of you. If we come to this program and we just get the free therapy, but we don't give back, that'll make us feel good for a while, but it's not going to be the recovery you're looking for. The real recovery comes from like giving back what you get and from feeling like you contributed to this 100-year-old, it's almost 100 years of AA Big Book. The reason why so many people keep coming back is because the more you give, the more you get. So wind-up work is something, if you have any questions about it, feel free to ask, because I love doing wind-up work. But it's a great thing for 5 minutes. I'm feeling angry. I'm going to go look up an email for a few therapists. I'm feeling resentful. I'm going to email a few of these therapists. I'm feeling frustrated or fear. I'm going to phone some of them and say hi. I'm going to do 5 minutes of something to get me out of it. And almost immediately you start feeling better. Almost immediately it helps you get back on track. And the more you do it, the more it starts becoming your new way of living. And the more you feel like, oh, okay, this is like actually what I do. And if I'm feeling really good and I'm not having any of those problems, I should probably do more service today rather than be like, well, that's great, I'm going to take this day for me. No, like I do a little service when I'm feeling off, but when I'm not feeling off, like that's the day to really like show your gratitude by giving a bit more, going to a meeting, sharing, signing up for something. Whenever I sign up for something, I'll end on this. Is that all I want to say? Hold on, let me check something in my notes. Yeah, so meetings, sharing, connecting with newcomers. If a newcomer shares their number, just phone them. Maybe you're not going to be their sponsor. Maybe you're just going to exchange stories. Maybe you're going to not even like each other and never talk again. But if they're new and they're sharing their number, it's because they want to connect to people. They need to hear your story. So maybe you're like, I'm too busy today. No, take 5 minutes to phone somebody. Say, hi, welcome to the program. Do you have any questions? Or text them. And then wind-up work is really key. If you don't have any sponsees, you should be doing wind-up work. Especially because we're coming from different 12-step programs, like a lot of people know about Alcoholics Anonymous, but there's so many people who have no clue there's 12-step programs for other things like eating and sex and addiction. And some people are out there struggling right now with what you have, and they have no clue that this program exists. And all it takes is hanging up a poster, making an email, doing a bit of time. You could help. That the chain effect of that wind-up work could end up helping hundreds, thousands of people just from you hanging up a poster at a rehab facility. So you have to really remember, like, this is our job. Our job is to show we want the recovery. We have to work for it. And we have to work as hard at it as we did at our addictions. Like, I spent every day in my addictions obsessing about when I'm going to get back to it, obsessing about it. I need to work just as hard in my recovery. I can't pretend, oh, I can half do it, or I'll be right back where I started. So the last thing I want to say is thank you for being here. Thanks for having me. Whenever I do something like this and share, I get off the phone, I feel good. And then the first thing I do is I sign up for my next thing, because I know if I take another day or a week and I feel good about myself, I'm never gonna, it'll end up being a year before I do it again, because I'll feel all good about myself. So it's always important, just always have the next thing lined up. And thanks for letting me share. I appreciate it.
I love it, Jesse. And I love the way that you have uh, talked about doing service, and I love this 5-minute wind up work at the end of your step 10, taking your step 10. I think that's a concept. I mean, it's a concept that I know about, but I've never heard it called wind up work. And what I'd like to do is just dive a little bit deeper into that. You talked a little bit about some of the things you do for wind up work, some examples of that. Why don't you talk about maybe your favorite way or favorite type of wind up work that you practice regularly? Got questions about addiction, recovery, or just life in general? Let's noodle it out together. Grab your big book, a pen, a highlighter, and a notepad, and join Nikki M and me, Justin B, on Rico 12 Noodle It Out with Nikki M. Each episode, we take real-life questions, ours, yours, and those from the recovery community, and dig deep into the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous to find real, practical solutions. So, if you're ready to do the work and apply the solution, tune in to Noodle It Out with Nikki M, streaming now on your favorite podcast platform.
All right. Sorry, my internet cut out. I missed the last thing you said? I'm sorry.
No worries. Yeah, so my question for you, Jesse, was give us an example of maybe a couple of your favorite ways of doing wind-up work. What's an example of that wind-up work that you do on a regular basis?
Well, because I have like a lot of sponsees right now, I do less of it, but I help them do it a lot, which is good. And when I was doing a lot of it, my big thing is like, it has to be small, meaningful, measurable steps. If I'm like, I'm going to reach out to 100 places tomorrow, it's never going to happen. The whole point is like making it a 5-minute activity. So my first thing I'll do is I'll be like, right now I'm going to research places and collect emails. So I'll be like, whenever I'm feeling off, I'll start looking for therapists in my area. I'll start looking for people who specify in the addiction I have, counselors, and I'll just go on their websites and I'll collect their emails. And after about 5 or 10 minutes, I'll be like, I feel good. I'm good. I'll save that for later. And then I have like a draft thing that I send to people, but you often have to customize it based on where you're sending it. So I'll be like, okay, I'm feeling off right now. I'm going to prepare the email to send, or I'm going to send the email. So just little small things that take 5 minutes. And if I don't feel better, I'll do another 5 minutes. If I still don't feel better, then I need to call my sponsor or go to a meeting because I need something more. But often like doing that little thing, I like looking for me, like I'm a gay male. So I look for places that support men in counseling and stuff, because there's less, not less necessarily, but there's like less, sometimes there's less resources for men in terms of therapy or in terms of like addiction stuff or like shelters. So I'll look for that specifically and say like, if people are looking for like a male sponsor or interested in 12-step programs, or queer people or people who are more like me, therapists who specialize in that. But yeah, just like looking for people where they wind up, which is like, we know where they end up because we've been to a lot of those places, and just printing off a poster saying, can I hang this up here on your bulletin board? Sometimes you get a lot of reluctance from people. They'll be like, well, we believe in therapy. We don't believe in that, which is fine. That's them. But often if you phrase it really like, I say like, I found recovery through therapy combined with the 12-step program. I really respect the work you do. I just want to offer more resources. You don't want to come in and be like, this is the only way. Forget therapy, forget rehab, come to the 12 steps. It's just a way to like work with it, right? You got to kind of play it nicely.
Yeah, I love that. One of my mentors, he's an alcoholic with 39 years sobriety right now. And his service work is he goes into rehab centers and he speaks to people, does question and answer sessions with them. And he says, rehab centers are amazing. 12 Steps is another fantastic resource for you in this process. So a quick note to our live audience here. If you do have a question for Jesse, please type it in the chat. If you want to remain anonymous, and don't want your first name read and recorded, just say anonymous, please, and I'll read your question. If you're okay with me reading your first name as I do that, go ahead and do that. The next question I have for you, Jesse, is you talked about, when you first came into the rooms, you're a father, you have kids, you got several jobs, you've got life. It's busy, it's busy, it's busy. How did you find room on your plate, or how was room made on your plate to be able to do that? And what types of things did you have to push out of your life in order to make recovery a priority?
Well, like I sort of said earlier, it's like it works in mysterious ways. The amount of mental energy I was using and wasting on maintaining my addictive life, the amount of time spent to live in my head like that, it's like when you can go to a meeting and have that sense of clarity and presence that you get from meetings, not all the time, but a lot of the time, you end up like, sometimes I say my days feel 4 times longer now than they did when I was in my addictions. A lot of that is physical elements because I'm doing less of things that I used to do, but also just like mentally, I'm present. I'm not overthinking. I'm not trying to be 3 steps ahead. So even though it sounds like, how could I ever find an hour a day? It's like that old Buddhist thing of like, somebody said, you should meditate for 10 minutes a day. And he said, what if I don't have 10 minutes a day? He said, then you should meditate for 30 minutes a day. Like, it's sort of like, it's counterintuitive, but it just works if you work it. And I don't know how to describe that. If you had told me in the beginning, like, just so you know, you're going to do a little bit every single day, I would have been like, no, I'm not taking on another job. I absolutely don't even have time to shower by myself without my kids coming in. Like, no. But it ends up, when you lean into recovery, the universe or higher power, it knows how to like hold you back and make it work, embrace you and make it work. And I just was such a mess that I was like, I need to fully do this. Like when I saw half measures avail us nothing, that quote that half measures won't work, I believed it. I thought, if I don't really do this, I've seen friends who had gone through also who had done it. And I listened to stories in those meetings and I was like, these people are really talking about something that I need to fully do.
Yeah.
So I just.
No, I love that. And Jesse, I just want to reiterate the point that you made there. In my life, I've also noticed that my days are longer when I am connected with my higher power, when I'm connected with others, when I'm doing that service. An experience I have had several times is I'd get up in the morning, do my step 11 stuff and look at my day ahead and be like, there is zero chance I'm going to get to all this stuff. And in my meditation, I got the impression, every hour on the hour, pause for 5 minutes. Give 5 minutes to me, says higher power, and I'll make it work. And I'm like, dude, that's like 10% of my workday. That's almost 10% of each hour. But it worked out, and I've always been way more productive and got way more in those days when I did that. And I need to do it every day is what I need to do, not just when I have that impression. Yeah, go ahead.
It's also like I have a huge to-do list, and now it's sort of like when I don't get it done, I can also be like, okay, well, you did as much as you could today. Like it's also the clarity of this not having to be perfect and get it all done is really powerful. And then just the amount of drama and things I would get myself involved in because the people and places and things I was connected to were all connected to my addictions. So just not having those types of people in your life, not having those same. When my family has drama, I don't need to attach to it the same way I used to. I can pray on it. What am I supposed to do? What can I not control? And let things go. And so you just end up getting your whole life back, not just time, but like your brain, your mind, right?
Yeah. You talked a little bit about 12-step work, the meetings you attend and that type of work being different than therapy or group talk, group therapy, whatever. Talk to me a little bit about the difference of those two things in your life and how they interact also, building on each other maybe. Hey, Spearheads, if you're looking to dive deeper into the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous with people who live the solution, then you won't want to miss Rico 12 Big Book Roundtable. Join David G., Nikki M., and me, the moderator Justin B., 3 recovered addicts from multiple fellowships, as we break down the big book line by line. In each 30-minute episode, we share our experience, strength, and hope in a real, raw, and practical roundtable discussion. So, if you are ready to learn and apply what you learn, tune in to Rico 12 Big Book Roundtable on your favorite podcast platform.
think the best way to describe it is like my therapy helps me with a lot of things in my life, but ultimately it's not going to help me with my addiction. I mean, it helps me process things, it helps me whatever, but it's like I need something far more substantial and I need something far more connected to a higher power because it's like not enough. If it was enough, I went to therapy a lot of times and had a lot of different group experiences before 12 steps, and I would just inevitably end up right back where I started. I had to really, this program makes you admit that you're powerless. That's step one, you know? And if you're believing like therapy will be enough, a book will be enough, a retreat will be enough, maybe it will. Go try that, you know? But if you're finding you've tried it and it's still not enough, that's where you have to admit, like, I need a new way of living. I need a daily program. I need something powerless. I'm not moderate. I'm chronic, you know? And so once you have that realization, it's really sad and it's really hard. There's a reason why it's step one to admit you're powerless, but you need a power greater than yourself. You need a program greater than yourself. So therapy helps me process the things that I do have some power over, the things that I can control, the things that I need to talk out loud about. But this program isn't really about that. It's about like having a holistic experience where you and others support each other to stay accountable and to stay daily checked in, you know?
Yeah. Um, Talk to me about when you finally admitted powerlessness. Hey, I can't do this. I've tried all this stuff. What were your emotions then? And what were your feelings after you said, I guess I don't got this. I guess I'm willing to do whatever it takes?
Well, I was in the beginning of the pandemic and I was homeschooling my kids because they have respiratory issues. And I was in the middle of a divorce and I was being audited by the tax people. And I had told myself starting this new year, I'm going to stop with all my addictive behaviors. And I was completely right back in them. And I was crying every day. And I pretty much got to a point where I don't think I was necessarily like fully actively going to kill myself. But I was at the point where I was like, my life is not my life. My best friend had died from an overdose. My mom was really sick and dying from cancer. It was all just happening. And my cat of 19 years all died. This all happened all at once within a 3-month period during the pandemic while homeschooling kids. And I just was so desperate. I've never felt so dark in my life. And I just felt like I need to do something because it's just not, I don't know. I could feel the wall coming and I was like, I'm going to slam into this wall if I don't like do something. And so I had friends and I'd been around 12-step stuff my whole life. And I was like, okay, it's available online right now. That's good for me. Let's just do it. But it was just like very dark, you know? But still, even in that, like I said earlier, it's like it's amazing to me how my addictive brain will convince me, like, yeah, but you can go back to that a little bit. Like, yeah, I wasn't so bad. Like, there's some days where my brain is still good at convincing me. Even as I say it out loud, I'm so glad that I can share here because it reminds me of that feeling. And I'm like, yeah, I need to check in with that. I don't need to dwell on it. They say, like, look at the shadow, but don't stare at it, you know? I don't need to dwell on it, but if I don't check in once in a while and remember how bad it really was, I can easily delude myself and just slowly start creeping right back to it. But it was terrible. It was a terrible time in my life. And it was a miracle. It was like the worst, best thing, you know?
Yeah, and it reminds me of the phrase from the Big Book, how dark it is before the dawn.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, as that dawn started, the first flash of light coming up over the horizon that you maybe took as hope rather than an oncoming train. Talk to us a little bit about that hope and how that motivated you to get to where you are 3 years later. I mean, you're here looking and sounding amazing in 3 years. So talk to us about that.
Well, the thing I would say, like, I've had in my 3 years times where I almost left and where I really like played the line, and I've had like to kind of restart several times in this program. Not full relapses, thank God, but like pretty close to like periods of like almost dropping out or not really doing it. That's why I wanted to share today. But the funny thing about it is like, no, you don't feel perfect and great and strong right away on day one, but you start feeling a little bit better on day one because you're taking one step. That first step does feel a little bit better than the abysmal dark hole that you've been in. And so what's interesting is like immediately you don't feel like, oh, everything's great. Some people have like really huge within the first 2 weeks of a program have big things. For me, it was very slow and steady, but ultimately it was like right away from my first meeting, I started to feel at least an inch better than I felt the day before when I had no meeting and no solution. And then slowly it just starts becoming who you really are because you start doing it. But there's also imposter syndrome. I remember my first time sharing like this and being like, am I so full of crap? Like, oh my God, is this real? But then as you start saying it out loud, you're like, no, a part of me really does believe this. And that part is 10% of me. That part is 20% of me. That part is 30. Once you get past the 50% line, I'm not 100% like this all the time in serenity, but I would say I'm past the 50% point, and it's like an amazing feeling because you start really noticing before these defects like really hit you. So now it's like I don't have to go to full rage before I start noticing the anger. I don't have to go to full anger before I start noticing the resentment. You start fine tuning it because before it's just I was in constant PTSD, constant fight or flight. I had no clue. I always say I think I was in a panic attack for 35 years. And when I first started learning to stop and breathe, I was like, this is what breathing feels like. Oh my God, I've been freaking out for 35 years. And you just start recognizing when you're off center because you start living in center. But it takes time. It's not a straight line.
Uh, you've talked a bit about this process, but I'd like you to, if you're willing, to kind of walk through a step by step what this pause, the step 10 process looks like. From the time you recognize resentment cropping up or whatever it may be, and kind of walk through us exactly what you do and what that looks like.
Yeah, I think everyone does it differently. But in my program, it's like you need to stop, you need to name it, you need to share it with your sponsor, say a prayer, get it out of your head and do some service. And so it's also something funny. Like if I said, oh, people always say like, well, I will do it after the staff meeting. I'll do it after I arrive. I'm driving right now. I'm busy right now. I'm with my family right now. It's like if I said, hey, I have $100 million for you, stop what you're doing for 5 minutes. Every single person in this room would have no problem stopping. And you have to remember, like, this is what we're training ourselves to do. This is what we're working to like stop before, to put our serenity first and to not create more drama by thinking we can wait an hour. We're chronic, whatever. And yeah, I see in the comments someone said I would stop for 100 million. Oh, for the money, yeah. When my sponsor said, whenever you're feeling out of center, stop, text me, name it, say a prayer, do 5 minutes of service. And I said to her, I'm going to be stopping and texting you every 5 minutes. I'm constantly thinking fear, anger, resentment. She said, okay, do it every 5 minutes. And it's incredible how like in the beginning, I was doing 10 steps like 100 times a day because I was like, I'm going to take this seriously. If I'm not centered, I need to do this. But now I'll have entire days where like I don't have any of these old defects popping up. And then when they do, I'll have that part of me be like, no, I was having such a perfect day. Now I'm feeling, no, just like doing the work is the work. And it's like, your sponsor's not like, uh-oh, they're resentful again. Sounds like they're doing 10 steps again. I thought they were cured. No, we have to put our ego aside and we have to realize it's going to keep coming back. And we have the steps to do it. We name it. I'm angry right now. I'm resentful right now. I'm frustrated. I'm sad. I'm scared. We say a prayer. God, help me return to center. And then we do 5 minutes of service. And you know what? It's like, it's amazing how quickly that softens everything and how it teaches your brain. I'm not dwelling on this anymore. I'm not keeping this in my head anymore. When it happens, I let it go. I share it. I turn it into a productive positive.
Yeah, I love that. You mentioned some, especially early on, I'm going to be doing 50, 100 of these a day. Okay,
Good.
I do 50 or 100 a day. And I think that's something that, well, I'll just go back to myself as a newcomer and share my own experience. Man, I thought that would be, I would be imposing on people
Yeah,
if I
exactly.
was like reaching out to them. Yeah, man, I've did this is several times today. But as a sponsor now, when somebody reaches out to me several times a day, shoots me a text message, hey man, I just spotted resentment or fear, whatever it is, and I'm turning my thoughts to being of service to somebody and praying and getting that taken care of. I don't, like you said, I don't sit there and go, oh crap, there he is
Look at them
again.
doing the work. They're doing the work. When I
Exactly.
don't hear from my sponsees for a week, that's when I'm like, oh, great, here we go. Like, I don't resent them, but it's like, that's when I know they're not doing the work. And the key to that is they're doing service at the end of the 10th step. They're keeping our program alive. Because if somebody's just, that's the difference between therapy, right? It's like, if they're just unloading it on you, you have to be strong as a sponsor to be like, listen, I'm not here to be your therapist. If you want to name your defect, and you want to let it go, you have to do service and try the system to giving it back. Or it's like, I've had to let people go because all they want to do is talk about their problems. And that's great in the beginning when you're new, but once you've worked through the steps and you're at step 12, you have to be using that to help others, or it's just not like, then we're just a group therapy. That's what makes the difference between 12 steps and group therapy. We give back, we get out of our selfishness. That's the key.
Hey, Rico 12 Spearheads. If our recovery resources have helped you, please consider a donation. Your financial support, as well as your word of mouth support, keeps Rico 12 running and reaching the man who is still sick. Donate today at rico12.com/support or check the show notes for PayPal and Venmo links. Every contribution helps carry the message. Thanks for being a Rico 12 Spearhead. Yeah, Jesse, one of the things you shared was in the wind-up work that you talked about was eventually you said something about, hey, starting a new meeting, maybe you're building up to starting a new meeting or doing something like that. How have you and how do you try to create the fellowship you crave in that process? Have you, started a couple of different groups or whatever that may look like?
Well, there's like two things that I say to that. In my first probably month, I was like, oh my God, I should start a Montreal group and I should start this and I start that. I went all manic, like, oh, I love 12 steps, everything. And my sponsor was very smartly being like, why don't you just do like the next little thing and see where it takes you? Why don't you just reach out to newcomers for now? Why don't you just offer to share at a meeting for now? We don't have to go 100, we're black and white people as addictive people. So we can easily go from this will never work to I'm going to run my own meeting. It's important to like really pray on it, really be talking to your sponsor about it and really being one step at a time. So I had like, our group didn't have a WhatsApp meeting and I thought it'd be a good idea. So I just like started it because it was something I could do from my phone. Even when I'm with my kids, it's pretty easy to run administratively. So I just started that. I started that group. I took over one group for one thing, and then I started another one of the exact same style and structure for another. And it's just something that like, if I took on one more, it'd be too much. And it's very like me to be like, I could sign up for everything. And so I have to be careful. But the real thing is like, I didn't start those things. I like prayed on it and they found me. And I saw that they needed an administrator and I thought I could do this. And so that group had 6 people when I started. And now we have 140 just because I started just when I need to do work. I'll send it out to people. I'll promote it, not promote it because we don't promote, but I'll like send it to people who are already in the program. I'll say, do you guys know about this WhatsApp group? Do you know about we meet on Sundays? And through just sharing it and building it, I got it up on our website, which took time because they didn't know about it. It was an informal meeting. I just did these little things that have made that group grow. And probably I'll be dead and that group will still exist. You know what I mean? One day. And it's like, no one will ever know that we're like, oh, look what, like that it was Jesse who got 100-something people to join. They'll just know this meeting exists. Who knows how it happened? And that's great about it. It just lives on,
I love that, Jesse. And I love that you've found peace with saying, okay, this goes on without me. It can happen with or without me. I love that.
It's not Jesse's meeting, right? It's not about
that. Man. And that's something that I'm gonna get real and vulnerable here. That's something that I look at with this Rico 12 project. I'm like, I'm Rico 12. No, I'm not.
It's important.
And but that's something that I sit here and I go, okay, what does this look like when I'm dead and gone, or whatever the next steps are in my life? God will take care of that, whatever that looks like. So that's good. All right. Any other final thoughts, words of wisdom that you have for us before we start wrapping this up?
I think it's just like one step at a time. It's called steps for a reason, right? And it's just always one step at a time. And I think I would love to recommend just like stopping today and saying like, what's my next step? I don't need to know 10 steps from now. If your next step is to like reconnect with a sponsor because you've been kind of not doing that, do that. If your next step is like to make sure you have a meeting lined up for tomorrow, do that. If your next step is to like talk to your sponsor about what more kind of step 12 work you can do, like do that. But the big thing is like one step at a time. You don't have to be like, okay, I'm going to do 10 things tomorrow, because tomorrow never comes. What's one little thing you can do today to break down that resistance, to recognize that there's a part of you that's always going to be there, that's going to say, no, I don't want to do that today. I'll do it tomorrow. No, I don't need to do that. That's too much. That voice never goes away. Every Saturday and Sunday when it's time for me to open that WhatsApp group, my voice says to me like, oh, I wish I could just give this to someone else. I don't want to do this anymore. It's too much work. The resistance, they say the shadow matches the light. The more you care about something, the more you need something, the bigger the resistance is going to be. And so what we're doing here is changing our lives and staying out of our addictions. Of course, our resistance is going to be huge. And so just breaking that down one day at a time so that if you don't do it today, it's going to be twice as much resistance tomorrow. And if you don't do it tomorrow, it's going to be 3 times as much the next day. So just one little thing every day, chipping away at that. And then sooner or later, you'll just be like, okay, this is what I do now. I don't let the resistance get me.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Jesse. This has been a really good RICO 12 speaker meeting. If anybody in here in the live audience has additional questions or would like to join in and talk about this, join our WhatsApp group, our WhatsApp community. You can join that by sending me an email at rico12pod@gmail.com. If you'd like to get in contact, well, let me ask you, Jesse, are you okay if somebody wants to get in contact with you?
I'm going to share. I'm putting my number in the chat. I'm in Canada, so probably using WhatsApp is best unless you have a long distance thing.
Perfect.
There in the chat, my number is 514-975.
So let's pause there because this is going to go out in podcast.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah. So you've got your number here in the chat for those who are here live. Anybody listening, if you want to get in contact with him, send me an email at rico12pod@gmail.com and I'll connect you with him, because don't want, the thousands of people that may listen to this to start spamming things at you.
Go, yeah.
Yep.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. So let's see. Next Friday, we're going to hear from another first-time RICO 12 speaker, Luke H., and his topic is going to be selfishness. And I think I love this transition we've had the last couple of weeks. We've got service last week, we got service this week that touched on selfishness, and then we're going into selfishness, and I think it's going to be amazing. So stay updated via WhatsApp or the email list. Send me an email to get on that. Let's wrap up with a prayer that Jesse's going to say for us. Jesse, are you ready to do that for us and get us launched out of here?
Yes. So this is the prayer I say in my morning. God, I ask you to direct my thinking. I especially ask that my thinking be divorced from self-pity, dishonesty, or self-seeking motives. I ask you for inspiration, an intuitive thought, or a decision. I pray that I be shown all through the day what my next step is to be, and given whatever I need to take care of such problems. My Creator, I ask that you show me the way of patience, tolerance, kindliness, and love. What can I do today for the man who's still sick, or the woman, or the non-binary person who's still sick?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jesse. Remember, everybody, there is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find God now. Keep coming back, and when you do, come all the way in, sit all the way down. Let's trudge this road of happy destiny together. Work it. You are worth it.
I've seen stars fall from above. I've fallen in and out of love. I've been high and I've been low. Now I know I just can't do this on my own. I've seen a boy become a man. He got lost without a plan. He's so far away from home. Now I know I just can't do this on my own. Your arms surrounding me. Your touch is grounding me. No longer searching for purpose all alone. 'Cause now I know that I just can't do this on my own. I'm looking for the words to say. You make the world a better place, and I can call that place my home. 'Cause now I know that I just can't do this on my own. Your arms surrounding me. saw stars fall from above. I fell in and out of love. I got high and I fell low. But now I know that I just can't do this on my own. No, I just can't do this on my own. I just can't do this on my own.